Listen, let me just say this. This is an oversight hearing because the taxpayers pay your bill. The taxpayers pay mine. They're making sure that the agencies that work for them are run efficiently, and we're spending the money in a way that is efficient for the taxpayers to the benefit of the taxpayers. That's all I'm asking, is information for the taxpayers on how you're spending your time. It's not a gotcha question. I'm not here.
This hearing sounded like a conversation about schedules, metrics, and administrative oversight. But underneath, it was a far bigger question most Americans are quietly beginning to ask. What happens when government agencies become so massive, so interconnected, and so data-driven that no one can clearly explain who is fully in control anymore? Because this wasn't just about one official managing two jobs. It was about whether the systems handling Americans' taxes, identities, benefits, and private records are moving faster than the public's ability to oversee them.
Cortez Masto.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'm going to stay on the same line of questioning. Mr. Bisignano, how much time do you spend as the CEO of IRS versus your duties as Commissioner of Social Security? I'm curious.
Yeah, I really look at it like I run two large organizations, and my day starts as it did today at 4 or so.
Can I ask, because I don't have much time here, percentage-wise, how much time do you spend? 50-50, 60-40, 30-70?
Well, I think you should ask the question of, I spend, not 8 hours a day, but 14 hours a day, right? And
but again, I need specifics. You could spend 14 hours a day on the IRS or 14 hours a day on Social Security. You've got to figure out as a CEO.
I don't know, actually.
So how is that?
Well, here's how to think about it, right? We run it with a governance structure, both organizations. There's a weekly staff meeting. There's a key indicator meeting that we take the top two levels of management. This will be a report that never existed before. Many things did not exist before. We built technology to be able to look at it. That happens every week. We have a risk meeting that never happened every week.
Let me just say, it'd be helpful if you could look back at your calendar and you tell us how much time was spent on Social Security versus IRS. That would be very helpful. Just your days. That's all I'm asking. Secondly, I appreciate you in the private sector.
You're going to include Saturday and Sunday. You want to know how many hours I spend on each of them?
Just a percentage, yeah.
I'll give you hours.
Listen, let me just say this. This is an oversight hearing because the taxpayers pay your bill. The taxpayers pay mine. They're making sure that the agencies that work for them are run efficiently, and we're spending the money in a way that is efficient for the taxpayers to the benefit of the taxpayers. That's all I'm asking, is information for the taxpayers on how you're spending your time. It's not a gotcha question. I'm not here trying to attack you. It's just specifically how we see this moving forward. So I want to follow up on some of the comments that you've made. You're focused on delivering measurable results across the IRS. I appreciate that. You come from the private sector. You're all about measuring metrics and outcomes, and I think that's great. And in your speaking, your introduction today, you've identified several deliverables that you're identifying for the IRS. My question is, as you're measuring these metrics, can you provide us more information on how you are measuring them?
Sure.
For instance, it would be helpful for me to understand, I get achieving the best filing season results in timeliness and accuracy, so it'd be helpful if you give us the metrics, what you're basing it against, how you are achieving that outcome. What I don't get is the building a world-class management team. I'm not sure how you do a metric on that, but if you've got a metric, that would be helpful. So if you can give us more specifics on those items, I would appreciate that.
Sure, my pleasure.
Thank you. So as we've said, you're currently leading these two agencies. I do have concerns, and I want to address this. In January, the DOJ admitted in court that DOJ employees use an unauthorized third-party server to share Social Security data, and that a Social Security staffer for DOJ signed a data sharing agreement with a private political advocacy group. There are also allegations from a whistleblower that a DOJ staffer took major Social Security Administration databases with him using a thumb drive. And then at the IRS, a federal court has found 42,695 violations of federal law stemming from the sharing of confidential taxpayer data under an agreement with DHS. My question to you is, what changes are you implementing to avoid further breaches of Americans' private information?
Yeah, we brought in to ensure that our data is secure, which is the #1 priority. If you go through our priorities, it's protecting Americans' data. It's driving higher service and improving collections for IRS, right? And we brought in outside to look at it to ensure that we weren't just looking at it internally and to ensure that we're protecting the data. And we had a total outside review of it.
Let me ask you this. I'm going to take advantage of you're here also as a commissioner of Social Security. I need help with something. In Clark County, Nevada, I'm understanding from our Social Security office that there is right now a backlog of foster children attempting to obtain their Social Security cards. And this is because the Social Security office in Las Vegas has informed us in Southern Nevada that it would begin requiring physical stamped certified copies of foster children's vital records before issuing, excuse me, their Social Security cards. Prior to this change, Clark County worked with the office, the Social Security office, to provide certified copies of these children's vital records in a digital process. Now you are asking for physical. The challenge we have with that is because we don't have actually in Clark County a lot of the physical stamped certified copies because most of it's digital now. So can you take a look at that for me and figure out how we can get back to a system that we're moving in a digital process?
We'll do it this week.
Thank you.
Talk to your office.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you.
What made this exchange revealing was not the hostility, it was the persistence. The senator kept asking a simple question: how much of your time is actually being spent running each agency? And strangely, a direct answer never came. That matters more than people think. Because in corporate America, shareholders demand measurable accountability from executives handling major responsibilities. Yet in government, where the stakes involve millions of citizens and trillions of dollars, vague answers somehow become acceptable. Americans should ask themselves, if leadership attention is divided across institutions this critical, who guarantees that blind spots are not forming in the areas citizens depend on most? Then the hearing shifted into something even more important: data. Quietly, almost casually, references emerged about unauthorized servers, data sharing agreements, whistleblower allegations, and confidential taxpayer information. And that is where this stops being political and becomes deeply personal. Every American watching should understand that modern power is no longer only about military strength or economic influence. It is about information. Your tax records, social security details, healthcare history, employment data, these systems now define modern citizenship. So the real question is not whether agencies are becoming more technologically advanced. The real question is, who is watching the watchers? Because history repeatedly shows that systems built for efficiency can also become systems vulnerable to misuse, overreach, or quiet failure. And perhaps the most human moment came near the end. When the conversation turned to foster children struggling to obtain Social Security cards because physical documents are now required in a world that has largely gone digital. That moment exposed a contradiction sitting at the center of modern bureaucracy. Governments promise innovation, automation, and modernization, yet ordinary people often experience more delays, more barriers, and more confusion. So maybe the deeper issue Americans should focus on is not whether government should be bigger or smaller. Maybe the real issue is whether institutions designed to serve citizens are slowly becoming systems citizens must struggle just to navigate. Because when efficiency becomes more important than accessibility, the people most affected are almost always the ones with the least power to fight the system.